Okay, for page 6, we're going to begin with grouping items. To be able to move things together, it's easiest to group them, as it is in most programs. You can group things very simply by selecting both. So if you're on that black selection arrow, you can just click and touch both of them. That's all you got to do. And then you can press Ctrl G, or I like to just come over to Quick Actions and press the group button. Bam! Now it's grouped. If you click off of it and click on it again, notice it will say group up here in the top corner. You can also click Shift while you have something pressed and then select both items to group it that way. So we've got that grouped. We don't want to group it with the body just yet, but we are going to take and position it over here a bit and then rotate it around so that we kind of have this little, leaf, this little feather kind of thing happening. Okay, and you can decide, you can make it smaller than it is if you want to, or, whatever. And we can always reposition this later on, so it doesn't really matter exactly where it is at this moment. Now, one of the things that's a really big deal and very confusing for my students is what's called isolation mode. Isolation mode in Premiere or Illustrator, isolation mode is what happens when you double click on a grouped item. So I want you to look up here where it says Toucan, and then I'm going to double click on this and look under here where the ruler is. Okay, double click. See right under the ruler it says layer 1 and group. And notice the body, which is not part of the group, is grayed out. Well, that happens when you're in what's called isolation mode, which means that anything we do right now is within the group. Even meaning if I drew other things in here, they'd automatically be in the group. So it's very important to understand isolation mode because people accidentally get into isolation mode. And the easy way to get out of isolation mode is just simply double click outside the selection completely. So in the white space, in the gray space will get you out. I'll just double click out here. See, there it is. Now, we do want to get back into isolation mode because we want to change this top color. So let's click on that top. Don't double click, and you have to learn when it's right to double click and when it's not. In this case, we just want to single click, and we're going to use that dark gray color from our swatches for that top one. Okay? Once it looks good, just double click outside of the artboard. There we go. So this is the artboard, remember. This gray space is off the artboard, and that's kind of where I make myself click is off of the artboard just to be on the safe side. Okay, that's the bottom of page 6. Let's go to page 7, and we're going to continue to draw. Now remember that this feather is not actually grouped with the body, and there's a reason for that because we have other things that we want to do. You really don't want to group things before they need to be grouped in Illustrator just because of that isolation mode issue. Now we're going to use the Pathfinder. Anytime you need a panel and it's not out, you just go to Window and Pathfinder. Okay, and the window menu holds see all of those mini panels. So here's my Pathfinder panel. It's got a top part that's shapes, shape modes, and a bottom part that's Pathfinder modes. What we're going to use here is we are going to duplicate the big black circle that's used for the body. So again, hold down the Alt key and then just click and drag. It's that simple, and that gives you a second copy. Now we don't have to be real scientifically technical here. We're just going to smash this down a bit. We're going to use this for the face of our little creature here. Okay, so this part's going to be a different color. And we're just going to use this to cut it out. So you want to have a little point kind of going on up here, a little bit down here at the bottom. That looks pretty good. And we're going to make it the off-white color in the colors that I had you to put in there. Okay, not white, but the off-white color. Okay, now we are going to use the Pathfinder, which is here, and we're going to access the tool called Divide. Now you have to have multiple things selected, and it's going to divide those multiple things. Okay, so we're going to click and select the black one, and then hold down Shift and click and select the other one so that they are both currently selected. And then on your Pathfinder, click the Divide button. And it doesn't look like anything happened. okay? It doesn't look like anything happened at all. And if you click off of it and then click back on it, it's like grouped. And that's true. It does automatically group it when you use any of these bottom Pathfinder buttons. So what we're going to do is isolate the group, double click it, and then now if you click, notice it's actually 3 separate pieces. And that's what divide does. That's why if you look at the icon, it looks like it does. You overlap things and it divides everything based on the borders. Okay? And since we've done that, we can now click on the little moon part and we can just press the delete key on the keyboard. And bam, that little moon part is now gone. Now remember, we're still in isolation mode, and we can tell because it says group up here at the top. So just double click out in the gray space and we get out of there. And now this is an item and this is an item. So we have each of the separate 2 that are there. And that gets us to the bottom of page 7.